Hello and welcome back. So let's add some pagination to these tests. Now, since I'm logged in as admin or a lecturer, not a student, when I click on the test, it doesn't offer me the option to take the test. So I have to log in as one of these students. So let's try Guy here. So log out and let's try as Guy at yahoo.com. And the password is password. So we go to tests and here we see take this test. So click on, so we haven't answered. Let's click on this one. Okay, so answered 100%, even though we were just copying the same answer. Now here we have save your answers. Or maybe we can change this to save my answers or save answers. That would be better. So let me close these currently open files and let's see what we can do here. Now we want to add some pagination. Now we already have a template for pagination, so this shouldn't be difficult by any means. It's just a matter of copying the text and bringing it here. Only that you may want to write a message here to say save your answers before clicking next or previous button. Maybe that will help out. So let's go to the views and let's see, tech test view, there it is. And in here we have the tech test tab view. So that's this one. This is where we will add our pagination. So this one says save your answers. But before that, let's just add a slight message. I'll just put this in a small tag and say click save answers before clicking next. To save your answers. I don't know, you could write something like that. Let's see here. Okay, so there it is. And let's put a break tag to separate the two, of course. Back here, and there we go. Okay, so that will help. Now you could add some JavaScript here if you want. So are you sure you want to move to the next page? Next page, have you saved your answers? We can add some simple JavaScript. I was trying to avoid JavaScript in this project, but maybe we can add a little bit. Now, I did get a question about adding JavaScript to this project and CSS and JavaScript, jQuery and stuff. I don't use jQuery because it's not very good for beginners. It doesn't teach you what you need to know about JavaScript. It hides everything inside, so that's a problem. So when you're learning, I don't recommend that you use jQuery. So leave jQuery to when you are good with JavaScript. Then you use it as a boost, so to say, just to speed up your work because you already know the basics. So most people jump to jQuery before they even understand JavaScript, and that's not very good way of doing things. You won't learn much that way. So if you remember in our header and footer, if we go to the header and footer here, if you go to the footer, we do have a JavaScript file right here. So if you want to add another JavaScript file, just add it to the same folder where the bootstrap is and just duplicate here and create a link to that file just here. So not a problem when adding JavaScript files either. Okay, so with this, we can now add some pagination. So let's look at a place where we already have pagination and steal from there. So we have the users.php, which does have pagination. And we know that because it's right here. So the limit is the number of items on that page. So let's copy all of this up to there. That's all we need. And let's come back to, where are we here? This is the tech test controller. So let's go to tech test controller. And let's, where is the tech tests? Now inside the tech test controller, we have this function here, public function get answer. Now because this is a controller, if somebody types get answer in the here, if I put get answer here, I'm going to have problems because it will read from this function in there. So to prevent that, every function that you don't want accessed in the URL, just protect it by writing protected like that. So the ideal situation is just to remove these functions from here, which we may do very soon. So for now, let's leave them there. And let's just make sure we haven't broken anything. Okay, nothing is broken, it's still counting. And now let's add some pagination. So at the top here where we read the questions, where are we reading the questions? Let's see. These are the questions. We don't really care about the answers for now. So let's look at where we're reading from questions. So row represents, what does this represent? Tests, right? Okay, and then what do we get here? This is when we post something. Oh, look there, we already have this. Yep, we already have that. So let's see here. Questions, yes, that's the one right there. So where we're getting our questions from. So we go to the where clause and test ID, blah, 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 ascending order. Now let's look at the where function to see if we really can use it for something more than this. So let me click here and go to the where clause. So we do have a value, column value order by. Now, instead of us having to change, because currently we don't have a way to add offsets and limits here. Now, instead of us switching from the where function to the query function to run an actual query, we might just add those as optional values, the same way we added the order by here. So I'm just going to duplicate this twice, like so. Okay, so here I'm going to add the limit, and then I will add the offset over here. So we're going to give these default values, that way they're not required. So limit, let's put it at 10 as the default. The offset will be at 0 when there is no offset. And then just like that, we can add these at the end. So order by the key and the order by, but we can also add a limit and an offset. Now, here we will say limit and then whatever that number is, the limit. So it's like limit 10 in our situation. And then we're going to say offset, offset. So it's like saying limit 10, offset 0. So when there's 0 offset, it means it will get the first batch of results. If there's an offset, it will ignore the first offset. So if the offset is 10, it will ignore the first 10 results, which equals a page. So that's the pagination we can have there. So since we've added this, we can easily now go to the other side and add that. First, it doesn't need that pagination because we're only getting a first result. We can do the same thing for, let me copy this here. Let's do the same thing for find all. Yeah, in case you need to paginate whatever you're finding there. So let me paste that and let me copy the limit and offset like this. Copy, and let's add those here as well. So those will be optional values. If we don't do anything, then there will be a limit. Now, since this is all, let's put the limit a little bit higher. Let's say 100, just in case. Okay, and yeah, that should suffice. So let's come back to the where clause. Now, since we have this, instead of us switching to actually writing a query, we can instead put a limit and an offset. Oops, like this. So the offset is here, the limit is here. So we put those things there, and that should work. It's as simple as that. So let's try and say limit 2 and see if we get only 2 questions here. So as you can see, there are only 2 questions here now, which is good. Now let's add our next and previous buttons as well to fix the problem. So we have the pager here, which is nice. Now let's go to here where we want to add this, and let's copy this from the user's view. Since it's already there, we don't need to remember any of this stuff. We can just say pager display. So back here to tech tests right here. Okay, where does this form end? Let's add it there. Okay, wait a minute, what is this end if for? If is set questions and is array. Yeah, no, we should put this under here because if we go to a page where there are no results, we're going to suffer because we can't move back. So refresh, and there we go. Okay, so just like that, we have pagination. Now the problem is the question numbers will take a hit here. So let's look at this question right here. It says energy from sunlight and then independence. But if we go to page 2, we still see question 1 and question 2 instead of seeing this. And then also we have a problem here because total questions has reduced to 2 here, which is a big problem. Okay, but not to fear, we're going to solve these problems as I'm going page 3, page 4, etc. Yes, so I'm assuming this one as well is a problem. Let's go to first page here, and right here I want to delete this one and save. So it now says 50% answered because it's only counting this one and this one. So that isn't right. So the problem we're having now is everything is being counted according to this because total questions has changed to 2, which is not right. Okay, so at least we have some pagination of some kind. In the next video, let's look at how we solve this total questions problem, which is actually quite easy to sort out.